Hello and welcome to what once was my favorite race in the entire game. And we're going to get into why it's different now. So what I'm going to do here, I've never done this before, I will do a perfect run. What does that mean? That means I will never touch the brakes. And I won't lift off the throttle. To make sure of that, I put it in tilt A controls. I will go full throttle. If this is still possible, you will see it. Like, look at this. That's pushing the limits, guys. And this gets tricky. Like this first lap, between corners 3 and 4, there's going to be a problem, and I don't always know how to get by it until I get there. There's going to be 3 bots. Either I have to go low or high. Based on this, I've got to go high, so check this out. They're just getting out of my way as I'm getting there. You can see I'm really pushing the limits. And you've got to drive this a little bit careful. This is easier than the Nissan Skyline GTR BNR 32, the Group A one that's over in Pro. And there's one other version of this in in Pro-Am, actually, in the Mustang. One of the Mustangs, you can keep it full throttle, but it's extremely difficult. The Nissan Skyline, the original Godzilla one, that one's easier, and that one is still endless, actually. It just doesn't pay very good. So look at this. Like, I'm taking this high, but look at that, my speed. You're going to notice that at this point going forward, the lowest I'll hit is 387. And I might hit 390 heading down into a corner. No more than that. I won't ever hit 391. Just see this. You might, if you watch, you might see the odd 390. So what happened to this? Okay, so McLaren Generations originally was just the McLaren P1 GTR and McLaren F1 GTR. And this race was endless. And it's crazy. So a friend of mine threw up a video and nostalgia kicked in, and I went, oh, I missed this. Oh, here's a crazy gaggle. This can go wrong, especially when they do that. Oh boy. Okay, so with update 6.3, they reworked McLaren Generations. They added 2 cars and added a bunch more races and got rid of some. For some reason, that stopped this from working. And I'm not really sure why. I used to think it was because they were against endless endurance racing, but that's not true. Because they've actually posted my videos about endless endurance racing right in the game. And back in, I forget which update it was now. It's a while back now, where there was an update that ruined endless endurance racing. It actually introduced an interesting glitch where the game would crash around lap 28 and you'd lose all your efforts. And I worked with the lead developer at the time to help solve the problem. So that told me they're not against this. But why did it stop? So if you're not familiar with this is 42 car theory. I didn't come up with it, One Shot did. That's his name in the game, is One Shot. And basically, once you pass 42 cars, you reach the endless part of an endurance race. You'll get a whole bunch of cars, and they just keep appearing. Well, you're going to see here, we got a car counter going to see how far we've got. So my theory is, when they added the 2 slower cars, that stopped the gaggle of P1 GTRs from forming. You see, you've got to have fast back-to-back laps, and that's what seems to cause this kind of almost like it's a glitch, but I think they did it on purpose. So if you look at the Nissan Skyline Group A BNR 32, which is over in Pro, it's got its own series, you can still do this race endlessly there, and you'll get a massive gaggle of bots. You can pass 12 to 15 cars in just one corner, like this one corner. I've had crazy trains of bots. Like, I've had situations where there's 50 cars on my screen. It's just shocking. I'll throw up a link to that at the end here. It's amazing. It just doesn't pay very good. This paid good. And so now we just can't go very far here. So let's just see if I can hit 42 cars and then what happens after that. So like I said, I'm full throttle. I'm not going to touch the brakes. This is a perfect run. I haven't hit a car. I haven't hit a wall. I did nothing to slow me down. My speed is staying pretty nailed. Lowest you're going to see is 387. Oh, I hit 390 right there. That's the highest you're going to see is 390. And that's pretty crazy. And you can see you don't need to utilize the whole track in this car. So I'm keeping it lower to try to keep the track distance a little bit less. And yeah, it's just interesting. I loved this race. I love Indianapolis Motor Speedway, actually. It's kind of a fun track. Shallow corners, not easy to keep it pinned. Well, in this car, it's pretty easy to keep it pinned. But in most cars, it is not. It drives me crazy when people say, oh, it's so easy to just turn left when they're talking about NASCAR. Well, I just threw down the gauntlet. I issued a challenge based on Performance Rumble. That's the series that the race is in, where it's possible to stay full throttle, but you've got to have a lot of skill. It's very difficult. Like turning left or turning right, it doesn't matter. Pushing the limits is pushing the limits. So, if you think you've got the skills, I dare you to try to match me and beat me. And actually, if you can't, I'd still love it if you would post your distance. So I'm going to have a link to that video coming up. Okay, so up here in the distance, we can see the 41st car. Well, it's looking really unlikely that we're even going to see car number 42. So that seems to be what happened. That with all these additional cars, the P1 GTRs don't group up. Like you'd see the craziness like I had at the beginning of the video here where they would crash. That was almost necessary in order to catch them. You needed some sort of chaos to happen. It made it a race of attrition, which is kind of fun. That is what the Nissan Skyline GTR Group A1, Group A Grand Tour Series, that's still a race of attrition. I kept trying to do a 500-mile race, a true Indy 500 there. Never pulled it off. I think I reached 340 miles at one point, but it would take like several hours to do it. So here we go, passing the 41st car, almost out of time. So I'm not even going to get one more lap. 20 seconds at the counter here, and it's about 40 seconds a lap, and I'm losing speed. And I don't think we're even going to see the car in the distance. Like, let's just see. If we see it in the distance, then maybe I should keep trying this and just try harder. Although, as you can see, I never touched the brakes. I never hit the walls. I clipped a couple of cars, but it didn't hurt my speed. So this is unfortunately impossible now. So how do you win this race? Well, you've got to use clock management technique. And to see more about that, go see that Performance Rumble video. Because you can go. I've gone 92 kilometers here. That's pretty crazy though. We're going to go 4 times regular speed because I refail, but it doesn't go very far. So using clock management technique will make it fairly easy for you to get over 80 kilometers here. 92 is a bit difficult, but going over 80 is not. And yeah, there we go. That's how this looks. By the way, check out this distance from an old school driver. That's what used to be possible here. Isn't that crazy? Please like and subscribe. Check out the other video. I dare you to beat me. Bye-bye now.